the veil is lifting, like everything's lifting because we're shifting. Everything's lifting because we're shifting.
I love it. Yes.
So I think it's going to be just easier for us to understand death. And
my father passed away when Quentin was just 2. So my grandson, Quentin, my dad had cancer, and I would visit. And my dad, he got very frail looking, but Quentin still hugged him, and, you know, it didn't matter to him. But Quentin goes, how come Granddad's on Granny's bed? And so he goes, what do you mean Granddad's here? He goes, yeah, he's on his bed. And my dad, and he described him exactly. So my dad, he goes, he's like this. He always crossed his arms in the hospital bed. So he spent a lot of time in the hospital. So, and when you go see him, this was a natural state for him to have his hands. And Quinta goes, he's like this. And it was like, oh, he must be visiting, because I had started to become, I was ill, like after his death passed. As he passed a few months later, I became ill. So it's like, oh, it makes sense. You know, maybe I'm ill and Dad's visiting, but Quentin could see him. So, you know, you listen to the children too, because there's a chance that they are seeing more than we do. And don't discount it. Like if they have little friends, like the little invisible friends that they play with, and you think it's make-believe, maybe not. It could be grandma.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
So when my son was 3 years old, I was laying in bed with him, reading him at our nightly routine. We read books, reading him a book, and just out of the blue, he looks at me. He's like, Mom, back in another life, I was running through the woods, and then there was these people chasing me with these really long sticks, and they were trying to get me, and I was running and running, and then I climbed up a tree, and then they stuck me with these big sticks. And then all of a sudden, Jesus came and got me and took me up to his home, and then laid me in a bed of flowers. And then when I was better, he put me in your belly where a man cut me out of your belly. And I was just blown away, like, whoa, that is intense. Yes, I had a C-section. And
did he know that?
No, he didn't know that. At 3 years old, he's told me this story. Yes. Where, you know, I imagine he's running through the woods and people are chasing him with these spears. That's what I pictured. And they caught him. And then Jesus put him in my belly where a man cut him out of my belly. It was like,
but he put him on a bed of flowers. That was like
laid him in a bed of flowers. Yep.
It sounds like a resting chamber.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, isn't that nuts? So it's like, and I have so many stories like that. That's just one that stuck out when you were talking about your story, Robyn. It's like, oh my gosh, there's so many. You just listen to those little kids and the stories they tell. It's just mind blowing. I love it.
So what would you say to like parents? Because I think, that gave me chills. Would you say to parents to inquire, be curious, ask them questions? Encourage them.
Yes.
But you have to do it in a very gentle way, because if you're too like, whoa, tell me that again, or ask too many questions, it freaks them out, and then they don't want to talk about it anymore. So you just like, oh, that's a really cool story. Tell me more about this. Or, you know, you can't get too enthusiastic about it, or else they get a little freaked out, and it's like, no, let's talk about something else, kind of thing.
When there could be some stored trauma with those past life trauma that needs to be cleared.
Wow, that's so interesting. Like, I wonder if he, like, do you ever ask him now? Does he remember that?
We had a conversation not that long ago. It was probably about a year or so ago, because he's 14 now. And this happened when he was 3. And I was like, do you remember? And he's like, I remember telling you, but I really don't remember much. I don't remember that. Yeah. Like,
interesting.
I did hear, and I don't know who it was, but they did say that children around the age of 13, when they start puberty, is when their gifts come online again.
Oh.
So he might start noticing.
Well, he's always been really gifted, and I have him. Well, I was having him meditate and that kind of stuff, and I took had him do a shamanic journey in class with me and stuff.
Oh, cool.
But he's at that
Closed
age
off.
where he wants to hang out with his friends, and he doesn't want to do anything spiritual. He doesn't want to be different. Yep.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I'll be like, "Hey, buddy, come on, let's go meditate, and we're gonna think about this." And he'll be like, "Really, Mom? We have to do that right now?"
Yes.
You can't
haven't done it in a while. Come on. So sometimes they're just like, if you don't want to, it's okay. But I just don't want him to lose that ability.
Yeah.
It'll come back.
Yeah.
I think that when parents can really honor that within children can make a huge difference, because everybody truly is gifted. Everybody truly is psychic.
Yes.
I would say the majority of people, that's not really supported within them growing up. And so that's just absolutely remarkable. And it can't be forced, but I think it's going to make a huge difference. You put those little nuggets, and there'll be a time whenever he's ready where he inquires more about that. But that's remarkable. You know what this made me think of is that in the last episode, we were talking about children, babies, and animals, and how much they laugh and how much of a high vibration they are. Well, oftentimes children, babies, and animals also are very open to the spirit world and seeing spirits. And so that seems like a big part of it is, we hear raise your vibration, and that's all good and dandy without suppressing anything. But really, I don't think that's just the quality, the laughter, but we were talking about how high of a vibration laughter is, and they're open like that. And animals, I can't tell you how many times I've seen cats I've had following something, meowing at something that looks like the wall, or dogs. And it's really, really fascinating. And every once in a while it's few and far between where I actually physically see energy. That's not like a very common thing. It has happened with me, but it would be really cool to open that up more. And I think with a lot of people, you have to really transmute any sort of programmed fear around seeing anything.
Yes.
Yes.
I agree.
Definitely. I agree too, because that's the next, I think that's one of the next steps anyway. I don't really see it either usually. But when I feel like I do see it, I look more interested instead of like, oh my God.
Sometimes it catches you off guard though. So it's like,
don't do it at midnight.
Oh my gosh. So
do it in the day when I'm out in the forest.
I
don't
had an experience
out of me.
Probably 10 years ago, where me and my husband were home, and I think my son was at grandma and grandpa's house or something. And we were watching TV watching a movie, and I got up and I walked to the bathroom, I walked to the bathroom that's by my kids' room. And when I was walking, you got to kind of go down this hall. I was walking to the bathroom, and there was I felt this energy come out of my son's room, and it hit me. And it was like this electric energy, like I was getting charged with an electric fence. Have you ever touched one of those electric fences at a farm?
Yep.
So I had that go through my entire body. I could feel the entity was like the same height as me, just go through my body and went into my daughter's room. But at the time it was our bedroom. It was before my daughter was born. But I screamed so loud because it totally caught me off guard, where it was and then afterwards it was I was so mad at myself. Why did I have that reaction? I wish I would have stopped and tuned in, because who was that?
followed it.
It was like, oh,
I can,
like,
I
and
can
I
feel
look back
you.
and thinking like, man, why did I scream? And then it went away, and I have no idea who that was or what happened, or but it's like totally caught me off guard. So I reacted in fear.
I think it was galactic. I'm sorry,
think?
that's what's coming to me because I've felt that energy before.
Okay.
You know what it's almost like big pixels, like, ooh, this one's strong, right?
It was electricity, like intense electricity.
Electrical.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, and that's like the different, you feel the different energies. I mean, it can be so drastic. And I've seen one time a very, I hate to say negative and positive but it was not a good entity when I was in the ICU many, many years ago. And it, like that vision and that entity really kind of haunted me for quite a while. But I was in probably a lower vibration, some like pretty traumatic stuff had happened. So that was not a very pleasant experience, but I've also have seen like huge orbs the size of like this size and purple and blue, like walking like fairies, them, like flying towards this like chimney of a house. And I just stopped and looked, and every time I walked by that house, I would look for them, and I never saw that particular thing again. But I had called out to the angels before that because I had some weird experiences in that neighborhood. So it was a really amazing experience. But what you were talking about, the sort of electricity or zapping, it really makes me wonder, because I had this weird sensation, I think 2 nights ago, where my, at like probably 4 a.m., my hand was, I don't know how to describe it. It was vibrating, but really intensely. And it was so my left hand, and it was so foreign to me, that feeling. It was so visceral, and I, for a second, I'm like, what's going on with me? What's wrong? Like, am I about to have a heart attack? Like, I went down that route for a second, and then transmuted it, but it was shocking. Like, it was
you had someone holding your hand. I've had that on my hand too. I've had like a hand resting on my shoulder. It was Jesus.
Kristin says that left side is receiving. You were receiving something.
You were receiving something.
Yeah.
And that's so interesting that Robyn says holding your hand, because I'm sorry to interrupt real quick, but I had a Reiki session that on a client yesterday, that when I had a vision during the session that a woman was holding her left hand. And when I had told her that, she got all wide-eyed, and she's like, oh my gosh, she's like, my left hand was vibrating so bad, and it was like this intense feeling, like it had fallen asleep, but it hadn't.
Exactly.
During the session. Yes. So you totally triggered that in me thinking about my client yesterday, Ava. I wonder, and then when Robyn said that, it's like, okay, that's weird.
Whoa.
So definitely. Who was it?
It's like a little different, but the only way I could describe it was like when some part of your body falls asleep and you have the needles, but it was like amplified. It
was like big tingles.
Yeah. And I was just sitting there, but it was like some, like, I don't even know, electric fence, pins and needles, something holding my hand that totally resonates. Because
even electromagnetic, it's like there's this weird thing that it's not electric, but it's like I could visualize the feeling, maybe because I'm a visual person, and it was like pixels, these big pixels, like woo.
So I'm trying to tune in into who it might have been that was holding Ava's hand. Not getting an answer right now, but it's feels very positive. My heart chakra is open. For some reason, I'm getting some weird.
Is your eye twitching?
Vibration?
like a vibration on my right eye, under my right eye.
That's happening to me right now, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
Not even joking. Okay.
Well,
Okay.
it was just happening, but it just kept giving me a picture, like a tabletop, something up high but very, very level, and I'm trying to figure out what it is that mean. Level, something to do with level.
He was leveling her up.
That's what I was just
Okay.
going to say,
Girl.
leveling up.
Wow.
You were getting activated or cleansed or
I think activated.
activated. Yeah.
We're really
Yeah.
connected right now, because I was thinking leveling up as you said that, and my eye started twitching.
Right here.
Wow.
And I did a reading with Kristin Davies, asking her, okay, I've had this energy where it's like I've had the same energy, touch my hand, touch my shoulder. Like, who is that?
Did you get an answer?
It's Jesus. And what came to me is like, oh my God, Jesus is galactic.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I never perceived him as galactic before because I wasn't there. Like this all happened like 6 years ago. He's the first energy I felt, but it was coming in like a warmth, a hug, and like emotion. Like I was like, oh my God, he's making me cry. But these, I didn't think it was Jesus because it felt different. So the energy signature. So I guess there's a difference when they're placing their energy, their hand on you, as opposed to you feel them in the room or whatever. There was a difference. I think that was the difference, because the 3 times I experienced it, it was like a hand on my elbow, a hand on my hand, and a hand on my shoulder. So I'm just saying that was my experience, but don't be surprised.
Wow, this is really interesting. When you're talking about Jesus, I had this really funny visual of Jesus like surfing on a UFO in the sky, like with sunglasses on.
Nice.
Anyways.
But they have such a sense of humor. The angels and everything. It's like, oh my God, they make me laugh all the time. It's like,
I mean, the veil is
thinning.
And we're making more contact. And I think that these are energies coming into our lives, sometimes strongly, sometimes more subtly. I'll go outside and my eyes will be drawn to a particular planet or constellation or star or something moving, but it's not a plane. And I think that it's happening. I mean, it's happening, and there's no doubt about it in all of our lives. And it might look different in a lot of people's lives, but we were talking about death, which is just a transition. There's all of these transitions happening, and it's pretty much at the same time, which is.
And we have so much love energy hitting the planet. We're going through a huge transition. So look out. And don't be afraid.
Didn't one of you or a couple of you, I'm sorry, texted that their lights were flickering?
Me
that
this
happened to me
morning.
yesterday. My husband also noticed, like, what is up with the lights? Like, they were flickering on and off for a while.
Wow.
And this morning, I'm meditating, and behind me there was this guitar case, and it's just empty. And I put it up. It was perfectly fine it's been there for a couple of days. And as I'm meditating, I hear this. I'm like, well, I know what fell. I don't even have to see what's behind me. I know what fell. I'm like, if I wasn't where I am now, I'd be really spooked. I'd be leaving the room. But I choose to think that it's my angels and Source and Jesus and, whoever my team is. I'm like, as opposed to some, evil spirit.
Right. And sometimes there's entities like we'll hear about channeling Eric, and he likes to go into people's lives and kind of prank them a little bit, and he's very high vibration, but I think sometimes they're giving us some playful energy, or we might get spooked and then we can laugh at ourselves. And I mean,
it's a little test.
My brother does that to us. I've told him not to do it anymore because he scares the crap out of us every time he does it. So I've told him to stop.
What kind of stuff does he do?
He used to make the smoke alarms go off in the middle of the night.
Oh boy.
And he thinks it's so funny that we're half asleep and my husband's like getting the gun out of the safe. And I'm like, it's the smoke alarm. And then he'll be like, will you tell him to stop it? I'm like, you just did.
You just did. Oh my God. Thanks for reminding me. The last 3 nights, I've been having hard time sleeping. Wake up between 2 and 4, and you're sort of like not really sleeping, not really awake. It's like, man, I got all the stuff to do tomorrow. Why can't I fall asleep? Why can't I sleep normally? Please let me sleep normally. Only until I start angels am I going to start to sort of snooze for real. 3 nights in a row. So this is not a brand new alarm clock that we have. We've had it for about a year. We've never had this ever happen. 3 nights in a row, it turns itself on around, I don't know what time. And the first 2 nights, it was gibberish. The third night, which was last night, it actually was just like a radio talking. And I'm like, what world? What?
Yeah.
I mean, lights flickering, radios coming on.
Yeah.
Nobody said it for a year. Things are falling. Well,
I woke up at 4 o'clock today, 4 a.m., and a light flickered 3 times, like 1, 2, 3, caught my attention. It stopped, and it did that for 3 sets of 3. I go, okay, what's a message? So I pulled out cards, and so I'm still not sure, but yeah. And I said, I've never had the light flicker like that before.
Remember I sent you guys that video of the light like shaking?
Yeah.
You were like, what is happening? The light in my bathroom swaying.
Yeah.
wait, so is it us causing it really? Or, somebody else? Because
I get the feeling it's us.
When you had this, that thing happening to you, to the light, that it was your energy.
I think it is.
So I'm thinking maybe it's okay.
I think it can be
Because wasn't that Angie during when you were having all that vortex, like the spinning and all that kind of stuff? When you went on that walk and you had to stop and I think it was during the same time, like within a couple days of that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Yes. It was.
Well, and I think that's
crazy.
Tune in, because I think it can be other spirits getting our attention, and they often do that with lights and our electronics and radio, because it's all just a frequency, and sometimes it takes a lot of energy to manifest even like an aberration or something. So, but it could be our own energy, could be the solar energy. It could be our guides or somebody messing with us, trying to get our attention, or maybe it's somebody that needs to get our attention.
This card as you're talking about it.
Protection.
This showed up twice in a row. So whatever it is, whether it's us or our guides, because I'm refusing to think anything else but our guides. I just
got that our light is our protection. That's your protection.
We are protected. And if ever in doubt, to put the bubble of white light around you, or blue light around you, or put your invisibility cloak, or your suit of armor, just whatever you have, call in all your angels and your team. You are way more protected.
There are more spirits around us than the physical people we see.
Yeah.
So a lot of times they can see our energy and our frequency, and I envision it's kind of like a light bulb or something where they can see people that are more receptive and open. And oftentimes they're trying to get somebody's attention, or they want to communicate something to somebody. And so that's also a possibility. And because also if you're a medium, that's like a lighthouse to all of you, which
a signal flash.
Which plays into the boundaries and learning how to have energetic boundaries. But I get that too, because there's a lot of souls that either are just trying to communicate something, or guides, or souls that are not crossed over. And we don't have to be scared of these things, even things that are scary, because if you, anybody can help cross somebody over if they're ready. But also, if we give love to something that is not in a good place, be it in the physical or non-physical, that can be a huge transmuter, if that soul decides to connect.
But also we stand in our own sovereign power. And if there's an energy there that you don't want, you can ask it to leave. And if there's a universal law.
Yeah.
So you have to ask it to leave. When my father was passing, or, weeks before, I'd be at the hospital with him and he would say, "Who are all these people around me?"
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Oh, do you mean the nurses, Dad? But he was seeing like souls all around him.
That happened to my mom too. She saw Jesus. Yeah.
Oh,
I was helping her out of the bed to go to the bathroom. And she sat up and she's like, "Oh my God, it's beautiful here."
yeah.
She's like, look at all the flowers. And she's like, "There's Jesus." And I was like,
It's the bed of flowers, maybe that Kristin.
I don't know. But I saw her. I just got the goosebumps. I remember that moment and I said, "Mom, that's so awesome. It's okay to go there." I was telling her because she was so close, but I was still getting her out of the bed, and I'm like, "That's really cool, Mom." I don't know. It's just that moment of, ooh.
And my sister was with my dad one night, and he said, "Oh," it was like he recognized someone. He goes, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And he started having a conversation with someone. He goes, "What are you doing here?" "Oh, it's so nice of you to visit." And yeah.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah, so they're not alone. And it shows that we aren't alone either. And you have guides. You have angels all around you. They need you to ask for help before they can help you. So start asking.